tell you that this music truth is one of the best from DSL and one of the best reggae music as well as compositions we can ever have in Ghana. You know, Rocky Dawani has others as well. Samini has had some. I can say that this one is also one of the best to listen to. And Lady Julia Hutchinson, who works with SNIT based in KD, just said, why are you playing this ganja music? It's not ganja music. Because I've had some swift reaction from Justice Awute, who works with the University of Ghana, and said this one is conscious music. I think I love this one. So Julia Hutchinson of SNIT, good morning to you, wherever you're watching us from. Let me also say good morning to Abigail Dakun. You're with the Gomoa District Administration or Leadership of the Ghana National Association of Teachers. And Lydia Nyama, it's been a while I've said hello. I wish you all the best for the day, all of the Ghana National Association of Teachers. Opari, Bemo Opari to say, and Francis Ako Unchwa of Cape Coast, wishing you all the best for the day. But in the meantime, we have cash out. It goes with a short code star 439 hash. We're just in the beginning of the month, the 5th of February. So just in case you're already down in your coffers because January was a dry month. The account went empty immediately. The February salary came in. You're not a businessman who have to rely constantly on daily revenue, and so you can spend money anyhow. Of course, we know businessmen, they don't spend money anyhow. They spend revenue and they plow it back into the business. But make sure that you get money's worth through cash out, star 439 hash. You have to choose option 2 to become one of those constant lucky winners. And the good thing I've loved about the testimonies from the winners is that they are just not one-time stakers. They constantly would have to dial star 439 hash, choose option 2, become constant people who risk all the time. And so when they get to win, it's all excitement because they are always cocksure that they're going to win. Claudius Kote, you celebrated your marriage over the weekend. Sorry I couldn't be there. A lot of things happening over the period. Good morning to you. And so we're going to have some interesting discussions because as we started with this morning's segment and the question of the day, the Speaker, as we now know, has lifted a suspension of 4 members of Parliament. They're going to be on the screens for you, so you get to see them. As we get ready for that, Solomon also is right here in the studio. Good morning to you, Solo.
Good morning,
I see that you've been combing through or going through the standing orders of Parliament.
Yes,
you have it well. Charlie, this one big booklet. Oh.
They gave it to me.
Yes, so you want to make sure that you scrutinize it well.
Exactly.
And then you are able to do the analysis for us. Solomon Owusu is with the Movement for Change. Before then was with the New Patriotic Party. I don't know. He says that he will only go back when proper reforms are done based on what he's claiming. But he's also an entrepreneur in his own right. And so, well, so welcome to the studio. We'll be joined by a former member of Parliament for Myong, Mohammed Abdelaziz, will be joining us very soon. In the meantime, please make sure that you also share the stream. And for those who have already joined us, including Abigail Gaba of Osu and the rest of the team, Chrissy Mensah watching us from the United States of America, we're grateful. Please share the stream. Money Need Money also joining us as well. Please share the stream and let's have some great conversations. In the promo on TV3 Ghana, we told you that we'll be having lawyer Pierre Kubi, former member of Parliament. He has an agent issue and so he's not able to join us. But please make sure you share the stream. In the second part, we'll also be having Dr. Peter Pate Ante, who will be joining us as well. Akasokri Joseph, you join us. Kingsley Inshrabo Fori, Nana Yurinchi, Evans Eben Samba, you've also joined us. Money Need Money. Money Violence also has joined us. Kwesi Mensah, a number of you. Please share the stream. Let's have some great conversations. But let's take you through the members who were initially suspended and then the suspension lifted. Roxanne Nelson Dapamakbo, whip, so the chief whip there. And for the majority side, for the minority side, we have Insawam Aduejiri, member of Parliament, Frank Anodempre, Gushegu, member of Parliament, Al-Hassan Tampoli, Jerry Ahmed Shaib, member of Parliament, Wija Gbawi. These suspensions have been lifted individually, of these members of parliament. But why did the speaker do that? And should the speaker have continued with this suspension? But more so, what does this set as a precedent? I mean, the incident that happened at the appointment committee will show you again reference to the incident that led to this, the chaos, the lifting of the tables, Muntutu cable, no? As was the directive that was given by Frank Anodompre, and then the pictures that were left in the wake of on the tables of this, where we had the gadgets all removed, so to speak. So massive chaos at the time. Then the gadgets were spoiled, for which Joshua Boidieu says, Roland, please, can you touch a bit of white voter and black voter lake this morning? My heart is bleeding. See such a disgusting lake also being destroyed by Galamsey. So the members of parliament will continue with the Galamsey fight to make sure that the promises that were given by the John Mahama government quickly are put into some activity, and we see some clean water bodies across Ghana. And Evans Ibn Samba says Roxanne has been unfairly treated. Well, we'll see how that goes. Obrin Ponkaba also has joined us. But, Solo, before we do that, let's take some insight from Parliament, and then I'll come and ask you, do you think that the Speaker should have lifted the suspension in the first place? These are the insights as a recall.
Not think that we should litigate this matter, even on procedure. We are more interested in the outcome, which is not a desired outcome. Today, I, on behalf of my caucus, would want to assure the public that such an action will not be seen in the public space again. Mr. Speaker, I take full responsibility as a leader on my side on all actions that took place. I will therefore conclude by inviting you, Mr. Speaker, to, in the circumstance and with assurances given, to consider a rescission of the decision you communicated to the House, as well as all consequential matters thereto. Mr. Speaker, without more, I shall thank you for hearing me and resume my seat. Thank you very much.
But as you can see, our colleagues are remorseful. Our colleagues accept your decision in good faith. And our colleagues are appealing to you to review your decision to suspend your suspension, to reconsider your decision to suspend. Mr. Speaker, it is not only members of the minority side that were suspended. In fact, the chief whip of the majority side was also suspended. So clearly, the conduct was on both sides. And I also, on behalf of my side, appeal to you to reconsider your decision and lift the suspensions so that our colleagues can join us, whilst the other measures that you are putting in place so that long term we can ensure the orderly conduct of business in this House is achieved. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
So I listened to the apology, And here it was repeated by the minority leader for and on behalf of the members of the caucus, and supported by the majority leader. It's not only words. Before me, they demonstrated and assured me of their total support to me and the deputy speakers to ensure that we have an efficient and an effective functioning parliament in Ghana. So I am satisfied with not just the statement, but also their conduct. And I will proceed to lift the suspension of the 4 members of Parliament that I considered were involved in disorderly conduct which amounted to contempt. The rules are very clear, and I did refer to them and stated clearly that because we are in the transitional mood, we've not been able to put committees in place, including that of the Privileges and Immunities Committee. And the standing orders grant me the power and authority to do what I did. And clearly, the jurisprudence are very clear that when contempt is committed in facie curia, you don't proceed to set up another committee or court or whatever to investigate and submit a report.
Another Speaker of Parliament, well, Alban Gbagbene again reiterating why the decision was made in the first place, and subsequently also why the suspension has been undertaken. But it sent a certain tone for us to have this discussion, because the precedent has been set, also means that at least we're going to have a member of Parliament or a number of them in the future who could be suspended. Either to sometimes you find that they seem to be very much in tune when it comes to the camaraderie or the unity that they play within themselves. And again, I told you that we'll be joined by a former member of Parliament from Myong, Mohammed Abdulaziz has joined us. Good morning to you. I hope you're well.
I'm good.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And so look, what do you make of this? I see that you've been going through the standing orders, but the reality is that the scenes that we've witnessed a number of times at this appointment committee hearings have not been good. They just don't set the right sort of examples. Now the suspension has been lifted, but there are words to say. What would they be?
Roland, thank you very much, and good morning to my brother. And permit me 30 seconds to extend the condolence of Mr. Alan Chamati, the deepest one, and the entire movement for change, to the entire Kodoko family for that dastardly act that happened to one of the staunch supporters of Kodoko, Nana Yaupoli, as he's affectionately called. Mr. Alan Chamati is deeply worried that a supporter will be killed in such a manner, so extends his deepest condolence to the family and assures that he will touch base with the family the moment he's in town. So that is the first point. Of course, a sad one, and I believe that authorities will look into the matter with all the seriousness that it deserves. Roland, I believe that when the Speaker took that decision to suspend the 4, I thought he applied wisdom, because you see there is a difference between knowledge and wisdom, and many a times in our part of the world people apply the knowledge without applying wisdom. And what do I mean by that? The knowledge here is that we know the standing orders does not allow the Speaker immediately to take actions. He should have referred the matter to the Privileges Committee. And also we go to Article 122 that tells you that the principle of natural justice here. But these are transitional periods. And so what do you do as a leader? You apply what we call wisdom, and the wisdom is applied to save a situation, to restore parity, to restore the integrity of an institution, just like you working with TV3. When there is an incident involving you, the first point of call probably will be interdiction. That does not make you guilty, but it's to allow the institution to go into the matter and establish what really took place. So I believed what the speaker did in the first instance was an application of wisdom.
Okay.
But I must say...
So not as a punishment, so to say?
No, not as a punishment. Because if it was a punishment, you could go up to 9 months if found culpable in terms of their parliamentary rules. So he applied wisdom to safeguard the image of the personalities themselves who were involved. But I must say, I was so much disappointed yesterday with his ruling. And mind you, if Speaker does not take care and place to the gallery of these two troubles in this country,
who are
the
the two troubles?
And the MPP, they are the trouble of this country, they are the woes of this country, and they are the nemesis of this country. He will go down with them.
Why do you say that?
Why wouldn't I say that? You were taken to Parliament. Mind you, these members of Parliament, people woke up very early in the morning across the entire country, queue to go and vote for them. By voting for them, it was to entrust their destinies or their authority into their hands to go and represent them. I have scanned through the entire constitution and the standing orders. There is nowhere in the standing orders or constitution that allows any MP to destroy properties. So what are we talking about here? Look, it says leaders are a reflection of society. I just extended the condolence of Mr. Lanchimati to a Kotoko supporter who only went to Instructorman to go and watch football but had been stabbed to death. Where did the supporters that killed him learn their trade from? From such embarrassing spectacles as they have been seen on TV.
So you're saying they are bad examples to society?
They are bad example to society. In fact, it must be one of the considerations that voters in this country must consider in the next elections to sack all those that were involved in this despicable act. They must not allow them back into Parliament anymore. This morning, your own network, you are reporting that there's a free-for-all fight in Salaga. Students fighting everywhere. We have legitimate violence by the actions and inactions of parliamentarians. Only 2 days or a couple of days ago in Kumasi, just sporting activity, Kumasi Technical Institute and Kumasi Anglican Secondary School, go and see free-for-all fight. Where are they learning it from? From our leaders in Parliament. So for me, I thought instead of rescinding his decision to suspend them for that 2 weeks, he could have increased it and vary the various details of the punishment.
So you're saying that as he undertook the suspension, set up a committee in the process to do the investigation, for which we're told that by 9:30 we'll get to look at their initial sittings, etc. He should have even increased the suspension time.
Yeah, he should have increased and varied it because
as a deterrent.
As a deterrent, because if you look at those that were affected by his action or others, you cannot equate all the actions and give them a same punishment. Jerry Ahmed and Odompre should at least minimum should have had about 5 months sitting in the house so that they will learn something out of it. I saw Odompre being the one who was pushing members to go and destroy. In fact, he led it by example by placing a table or a chair on the table. I saw Jerry Ahmed destroying the tables as well as the cables. So if you are issuing out orders or punishment, their punishment cannot be equal to that of the Fiamabo, who only sought to go and clean the mess, but in the process
by intervening,
but in the process also got himself involved in the brow. So he should be punished, but it must not be as severe as Odompre. Some members of Parliament that you would hardly hear them ask questions. At the vetting committee, immediately there was confusion, all of a sudden they popped up. I cited Michael Befi, who hardly asked questions, but immediately there was confusion, he was there. We cannot encourage some of these things. In any case, the vetting that we have been treated to, the minority leader himself has told us that at the vetting committee, they play what we call fixed matches.
Fixed matches?
Fixed matches. What they do is that depending on how hard you come and beg them, you are allowed to go scot-free. They don't ask any questions of you, as he himself said it on tape. Now, the question we must ask these people is that what did they go to beg this Anodom Prayer and his minority with? Did they go to see him or beg him with money, with schnapp, with beer, with Bible, or with what? So that if
Solomon, aren't you being overly excessive?
No, but the man himself said it live that they came to beg that the Greater Accra Regional Minister nominee couldn't withstand scrutiny, so they begged. And I'm asking, what did they beg with? You don't just go to the chief's palace just go and beg empty hand.
You are wondering.
I'm wondering.
Okay,
so
just hold on.
We need to go into it what they begged with.
The very incident that Solomon is referring to, which all of us were witness to, is embedded in this video. And let's just do a recall. Then I'll ask the question, are the incidents so bad such that the suspension, as he is advocating, is unwarranted?
Oh, come on!
And so if somebody is on to table,
table MP,
cable,
yeah, the work of Parliament, go and make laws for the people of Adwajiri. In fact, there is contention about your seat. All that you could do to save this country is that Muntu table. You have destroyed. We should destroy state property, and that is why I'm disappointed in the speaker. So you are pardoning them for we, the citizens of this country, to go and pay for their mess. Is that what the speaker is telling us? By now, there should have been valuation of all the items that have been destroyed. Published. Look, it's on your screen. Everything has been destroyed. How much is involved? So that we know when we are going to deduct it from those that caused this mess. You cannot just go back to Parliament and say that you are forgiving them. No, they are not representing themselves. But what? That is their house. If they will continue to denigrate it, if they will continue to destroy it, we will help them to destroy it. Any flimsy excuse, they are found of inviting people to the house on contempt charges. They are not above the law. They must be made to face. And if the speaker thinks that he's going to go this way, then I'm afraid he may very soon reach oil. The way and manner they are going, if we don't take care, they will destroy our democracy. And that must not be entertained. And like I was saying, these vetting activities is not serving its purpose. It is about whom you know.
Whom you know?
Oh yeah, whom you know. If, Roland, they don't like you, you go through all sort of things. If you go and speak well and beg well, then you are left off the hook. Is that how we build the country? And let me remind these parliamentarians that as you speak, a liter of diesel is around 16 cedis. If they care to know, the dollar
just went up on Sunday.
People are still struggling. And the least we are expecting from them is to fast-track government business so that that level of, as it were, easiness that this administration promised would, as a matter of urgency, be brought to bear. Because you see, the Ghanaian is only watching. It will not take, it will be sooner than later. They will begin to strike. And let me also remind these parliamentarians that the Ghanaian people already have lost interest in our democracy. And this is the last opportunity for them to revert the downward trend as we experience it. If they will continue to play like this, Adults who go to Parliament and misbehave, and they want us to come and hero worship them, then they are destroying themselves. They eat from Parliament, and it will not help the cause of this country.
You have been a former member of Parliament before Mohammed Abdelaziz. You take a look at the observations that have been made. The Speaker's now lifting the suspension, so to speak, but in the court of public opinion, the concern is that these members of Parliament have been unruly. You look at the actions they've undertaken, set very bad precedents and examples for ordinary Ghanaians, and just have become unaccountable to the people who elected them into office. Would you say those are right assertions?
Good morning to you, Roland, and good morning to my friend Solo, and good morning to our cherished viewers. Very regrettable conduct from members of Parliament. It doesn't reflect the office, not exemplary for the Ghanaian people, especially the young ones. And so let's all condemn what happened in Parliament. Parliament is becoming a very chaotic environment, you know, right from the how Speaker Bagbin was elected on the 7th of January 2021 up to date. There have been issues of violence within the prisons of Parliament. And we should all condemn that. It's not, it doesn't argue well for our democracy. In fact, Parliament represents our democracy, because even when constitutional regimes are overthrown, the judiciary will continue to exist, and there will still be somebody in charge of executive authority. It is only Parliament that would suffer. So Parliament is a fulcrum of our democracy, and so we must do everything humanly possible to protect it. And when such incidents happen, we should be quick.
I see that you're on fire. Let me just hold on to you. Dr. Amakoban has joined us. Good morning to you, Dr. Amakoban. Okay. So we'll get. Just wanted to announce his presence.
That's okay. So we should condemn that. When that happened, what the Speaker did initially was to suspend the 4 members of Parliament that he thought that were deeply involved in the shameful act. Some of them sought to challenge the authority of the Speaker in doing that. What they could have done, if they think the Speaker was wrong, was to go to court to seek for some interpretation. In any case, like Sulu said, what the Speaker did was to apply wisdom in the circumstance, especially that they are still going some transition where most of the committees are not in place. I think that the only committee that is in place and functioning now would be the Business Committee and also the Appointments Committee. Like I said, they could have gone to court to challenge that if they thought that the Speaker had no authority to do what he did. What I would first of all want to say again is that Anodempre and Jerry Shaibu should be sanctioned properly, because we all saw what Anodempre did. My tree is bad, but if I got it right, two cables means that destroy the cables and even lifted a chair and put it on top of the table.
It means that remove the cable.
Exactly.
Two means.
I mean, that's what it means.
Oh,
even though my tree is not good, but are they electricians? And so we all saw what Anodempre did, what Jerry Shaibu did. And Jerry Shaibu, first time in Parliament, made to sit in front as a deputy majority chief whip, and his behavior is telling. I think that they should bring him to order. What parliamentary procedure requires them to do when they disagree, like they did, if they thought that they were tied and they were not going to be able to proceed with the vetting. Parliamentary proceedings, just walk out. Just speak your mind as a minority and walk out. Walk out is constitutionally recognized. It is captured in the standing orders of Parliament. Just walk out as a protest. But to go and destroy public property and to subject Ghanaians to the kind of spectacle that we saw is bad. And so I expect that. But you see, what the Speaker has done is only to lift the suspension. But remember, he also said that the members involved should be charged with the cost of the repairs. The investigations that he referred to will still continue. The 7-member committee that is chaired by Honorable Bejra would continue to do their work, and their findings would be made public. And the fact that people who are found culpable, members who are found culpable would be made to pay for the cost of repairs. That one, the Speaker was quite about it. I want to believe that that still stands, and the fact that he also asked the Clerk of Parliament to report the matter to the police, the CID department of the Ghana Police, to do full-scale investigations. We must bring these horrible sins in Parliament to an end. No one is above the law. The fact that you are an elected member of Parliament does not mean that you can destroy public property and go and run and hide under parliamentary immunity. That is not something that we should encourage. After marking, you see, they are virtually using the parliamentary vetting process to settle political scores, and that is regrettable. You are only supposed to find the suitability of the nominee to go and occupy that office. You may want to gauge the person's temperament, his knowledge and competence in that area, and his understanding of policy. But it appears Afonyo Markin is and his team are now using the vetting process to settle some political scores. I listened to him on the floor of Parliament state that he cannot disregard party directives and that he was conducting himself in line with what his party had directed him to do. What he needs to understand is that Parliament is not an extension of the MPP headquarters. When you come there, what you do...
You're saying that is wrong, the assertion you made?
That is wrong. That is wrong. Parliament is not an extension of your party office. When you come to Parliament, what you do is government business. You can go out and do your politics and do your press conferences. But for you to state even on the floor during plenary that you cannot violate your party's directives and that you are behaving in line with the directives given to you from your party office, that is not proper. Assuming the majority leader, Honorable Ayere, was also going to take instructions from the party office and insist that that must be done. I'm not sure that would augur well for this country. So I expect them to conduct themselves well. Afenyo Markin, yes, there has been occasions where he has conducted himself well. I wasn't too happy the way he attacked the clerk, the female clerk, to the appointments committee. This is a woman, a mother, a wife, who could not react to you instantly because he's a public servant. And if you understand how the public servants would kowtow to the political class, the woman...
But he has since apologized.
Yes, and so, first of all...
you're saying the action was wrong.
I condemn that, and I'm also happy that Afenyo Markin apologized on the floor of Parliament to the clerk, to the husband of the clerk, and the family of the clerk. That one I would need to commend him highly for doing that, and also promising to write formally to the clerk, apologizing for his conduct, and also recognizing that he could have behaved himself in a much proper manner. Yes, you may disagree. You may want to communicate your disagreement, but how you do it also matters. And to the extent that Afenyo Markin recognizes his own shortfalls relative to how he approached the woman, I think deserves some commendation. Yes.
Okay. Dr. Makuban has joined us, and we know that he's been a very vociferous figure when it comes to governance transparency, one of the leading members of the MPP when it comes to issues not only of the party, but also things that need to be done. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Makuban.
Thank you, Roland.
Great. And I know that you've been observing this. I'm sure you've been having a mind of your own in terms of how well or unruly the members of Parliament might have behaved. But from that observational point, and then also your experiences, political scientists, when it comes to governance, etc., and also as a politician, what do you have to say? What has transpired so far in relation to this?
Oh, it is sad, really. It is sad. It's unfortunate. I have to add that I've taught in the University of Texas for 30 years, together with other institutions. I've been in attendance in different parliamentary forums. This is not how it's done. It's not done. Somebody said elections have results. You see, if you are the majority, you have enjoyed the majority for 4 years, then also for another 4 years, then come this time and you lost. You don't get to be the key speakers in the parliament. No. Elections have results mean that you are no longer the majority. And that means that committee chair is not from your side. He controls the committee. If he's not doing a good job, you are an appeal to the speaker. You see, so you don't get to yourself behave as if you are also in charge. You are no longer in charge. That's the thing. The first thing that should occur to you is that. Therefore, whatever you do must go through the chair. Otherwise, there will be chaos, you see. The chair is there to keep order. If he can't do it, somebody can appeal to the speaker, and he can observe and say, yes, indeed, we have to stop this and make some difference. But to behave as if you are still the leader or the chair, whatever, is no good. It's not good at all. What happened is no good. I know they have some grievances, that they are tired, but you don't get up and go if you think you are tired. No, unless the chair agrees. Or you can have somebody can appeal to the speaker that, look, you look at it, we've gone on this for too long, so let's stop it. People are reasonable. If you appeal to the chair properly, he may want to go ahead and finish, but if he sees that it's too much, he'll stop. But you don't do that, and you start fighting. No, you have poured your stand completely. You don't get to decide what happens in the committee. You don't. He is in charge. What he did may be unreasonable to you, but you don't get to decide what will happen. That's the key issue. They lost sight of that they've lost the election, and the new person is in time, and he should decide, not you.
Are you saying by observation, the minority side and the leadership in itself don't look like they have transitioned out of the defeat from the last election, and so don't seem to be comporting themselves well? Is that the assertion you're making, Dr. Makoba?
It looks like that. It looks like that. Yes, indeed. That's why I said elections have results. You see, you are no longer in charge. Give the person a chance. If you don't think he's doing a good job, appeal to the speaker. He keeps order in the chamber. Now look what they are saying. The speaker doesn't have the power to punish someone. Are you kidding? When you give him the authority to maintain order in the chamber, he has the power in doing anything that brings order. It's called implied powers. Implied. Now, if he doesn't have any power to do that, how is he going to maintain order in the chamber? It's all, they don't understand it. It's implied power. Once you give him that bigger power, any power he needs to bring that about is given to him already. This is unconstitutionality. No, it's not everything that has to be spelled out. You should know it. It's common sense. Implied powers, if they don't know, go and find out what implied powers are.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
And so it's clear. If he doesn't keep that order, how can you get business done? That's the question. You can't. Now look what happened. They are fighting. Somebody will get hurt. Broken mics. Doing this. It's not good. Now parliamentarians should always be cognizant of the fact that they represent the country. They are part of the leadership of the country. It seems that they keep forgetting that and behave sometimes as school students. When they get together in their numbers, that's what they'll be singing and making rowdy behavior. You see, it is not appropriate at all. It isn't.
And there's this viewer who just gave me a message and says that, Roland, I'm listening to the vetting of Americans. Ghana, we have a long way to go. Professionalism, time consciousness, and just straight to the point. I do agree with Dr. Makoba. And the question is, you have, I remember the early times when as media in Ghana, we started speaking to you. You were teaching in the United States, actually living there as well before you transitioned back to Ghana. You look at...
30 years. 30 years.
Great. How we have modeled our democracy, the structure of our political party system, and the behavior just we're talking about. Would you agree with Lucy that we have a long way to go, that we're not learning from the best?
Well, indeed, we have a long way to go. And what is happening speaks for itself. This should not happen. It should not happen at all. Parliamentarians are held to be among the leadership of the country. And therefore, this should not come from them. How do you tell students not to be rowdy if you yourself are being rowdy? How do you tell them?
How do you do that? You set example for people to follow, you see. And look, this thing, to some extent, the parliamentary rules are not written properly. The Constitution itself, for example, American Constitution, will tell you exactly what Parliament is supposed to do. They will tell you the numerous different things they are supposed to do, the power of each person. The Speaker is supposed to keep order in the chamber. He is the one who organizes the chamber. So you cannot come and say he doesn't have power to do this or that. You are already informed, you see. But ours, there's nothing. Nothing. That is where the problem comes from. Too many things are left to the parliamentarians themselves to decide. Not so. That's not how you do it. It should be spelled out. How bills are passed, or all of that. But they don't do it, and then the parliament go to what they call standing orders. Where do they come from? It has to be in the Constitution for it to be taken to make the standing orders. That's how it works. Not the standing orders become the representative of the Constitution. No. They should be in the Constitution itself. And then you pick those things to make the standing orders, not the reverse. You see, so it's not good. Besides, there are no orientation. Look what has happened. A new parliament, and immediately they take a committee work. What do you expect? Nobody has been oriented about anything. How to conduct yourself, who goes first. Most parliament, when an issue is coming up like this, vetting, the question you are going to ask is vetted before it is allowed. You understand? Yes. Because, after all, you're going to say it in the public. So what is wrong with the Speaker and his other people looking at the question if it's appropriate before you bring it? So you don't waste time. You see. Then it becomes personal. Where do you come from? And no, we're not vetting. Look, I can tell you, I know more about Afenyo Martin's properties now because he chose to speak about that. So I asked some people, have they finished our...
Dr. Makuba, I don't understand you. What you know and not know, and how that becomes very poignant there in relation to the posture and the line of questioning.
Yes. It's not appropriate. If that all relate directly to what should happen, you will not accept it. So they will vet the questions before they give it back. Okay, this one is okay, this one is not. Certain questions they will not be allowed someone to ask because it's too personal. You see, and we're wasting time. Sometimes in showcasing oneself and so forth, it's not appropriate. And that speeds things up. And it keeps order in the chamber. You see. So it's not up to you to ask any question you want. No. That's to relate to the issue at hand.
So we're here because everybody agrees that they misbehaved.
They themselves agrees that they misbehaved.
Okay. And you're saying, as well as Dr. Makuba also said, the punishment, I mean, is not correlating to the excessive behavior, which sets bad example, etc. Now, just in 3 minutes for you, how do we make sure this doesn't become a mainstay? Because it is in succession that we have a parliament, the 8th and now the 9th, just commencing with more violence.
I believe that the Ghanaian populace are also part of the problem. We must begin to look at the sort of people that we vote into our parliament. We must go for quality and not monetization. A lot of these people go to parliament because they bought the conscience.
So we should blame the unruly behavior and them not conforming to standard because of the monetization of our politics.
Absolutely. If you were going to go strictly according to competence, I don't think these people representing us in parliament, majority of them will pass the test in their various constituencies. You have very fine brains, but because of the monetary considerations, the person cannot put himself forward. Even within the various political parties, go and check the primaries. Those that are knowledgeable without money, they are sidelined to allow people with such unruly
For example,
behavior.
Dr. Makuba wanted to be a national chairman.
He was sacked. He was sacked. Can you imagine?
Was what?
He was sacked. Can you imagine there was a contest between Wuntumi and Dr. Makuba? There was a contest between Wuntumi and Prempe. What's the name? The former
the lawyer, and then also
and the delegates,
Deputy Attorney General.
The delegates voted for Wuntumi.
Goyle.
You get my point. Our politics have become who can cause more violence to be able to get to Parliament. And that is what we are seeing. And that is what is reflecting in our society. So it's a dangerous deed that we can only solve this problem by, first of all, appealing to voters that we must always and always analyze the people that put themselves forward for such positions. Not just because Eshirado, Ehejo, he gave you 2,000 cities, 3,000 cities, and so you vote for the person. That is not acceptable.
Eshirado, Ehejo,
Eshirado, that nonsense, that we go and vote for these people. See the sort of thing beyond this, the sort of commentaries that are coming out, people calling some MPs murderers, daughters, and so on and so forth. I thought that was uncharitable. You get my point? It can only come from people that are irresponsible, that do not take the citizens very serious. Can you imagine what is happening in the world? Ever since Donald Trump took over, there are a lot of developments across the globe. Tariff increments. Have you heard any of our members of parliament passing a commentary on it? Because they don't appreciate the effect that it will have on the economy of Ghana. They see things as normal. We are part of a global economy.
Solomon, this is a big indictment. You're saying that we have square pegs in round holes.
Absolutely. And they themselves believe it. They themselves
square
believe
pegs in round holes.
Absolutely. The people that we are putting our trust in them, majority of them, they cannot help this country. They cannot. I'm telling you this morning, diesel is 60 cedis. If you are not buying it, we are buying it.
And that should concern these MPs.
That must be the greatest concern to them.
See, a former member of parliament, you see your former colleagues behaving this way. At the end of the day, the argument now is that we need a patch. We have the rightful people don't seem to be getting access to the legislature, transitioning to the executive thereof.
I, to some extent, want to agree with Solo because look,
you also lost because you didn't have money.
You have members of parliament. Oh, I mean that's a story that can be told some other time. Look, you have members of parliament who have never asked a question on the floor of parliament. They have never engaged in any debate of any sort. They have never participated in public discourse. But once it comes to the throwing of blows, then they are the first you will see on national television throwing blows. I don't understand. Is that why your people elected you to come to parliament? And so must take parliamentary business as a serious one. And it's largely because of the moneycracy where people will spend money to get themselves into parliament. But on this occasion, let us all understand that Ghana is a country of laws. Yeah. Every parliamentary process, every parliamentary conduct is regulated by law, either the constitution or the standing orders of parliament. Now, what we are required to do
I don't understand. You're saying that the way they behave,
yes,
we should deal with it lawfully.
It doesn't find expression in the constitution or the standing orders. Look, Roland, it is normal to disagree. And we have seen that happen in several instances under this Fourth Republic, where a caucus works out of either a plenary or committee meetings. Yeah. When you disagree, what you do is to simply make your point and walk out. In fact, you may even decide to remain seated and yet not participate in the parliamentary proceedings. Yesterday, when you got to Honorable Okudito Ablakwa and Honorable Sam George, what they did was to virtually wash their hands off, but they were seated in the chamber. And that's what the law requires them to do. The law does not require you to cause trouble and start to fight your opponents. Look, it is out of courtesy, it is out of respect, and it is out of respect for the minority that they are being engaged. Why? We are dealing with a parliament of 187 majority caucus. They can do business without you. They can pass whatever law they want to do without you. Look, even at the committee level, it is 7 against 4. Even if you decide not to come to work for a whole week or a month, the majority can still transact business. But you see, in a democracy, you don't use your majority to suppress the views of the minority. So it is out of difference, it is out of respect that they are being engaged, and they must also understand that, look, the way they conduct themselves today would be a test case for them to make a comeback in 2028. This conduct will not earn them any respect or the confidence from the electorate in this country.
Dr. Makuba, clearly, it looks like around this table, there are key important issues that have been raised.
Yes.
The concern is that we have square pegs in round holes that is manifesting in the violence, the unruly behavior of these members of parliament in this very subject we're discussing. There's monetization excessively, so you don't have money, etc. You've had your own experience. Who did you contest your position with when you wanted to be chairman? Was it Chairman Wuntumi or so? Or who did you?
I think it was
Freddie Blaze.
Okay.
Freddie Blaze and
Freddie Blaze and the rest. So you do agree that monetization in our party politics, the politics of the day, the democracy, is what we're seeing today in this parliament. Is that a good question to ask?
It is to some extent, but that's not the only issue. You see, in Ghana here, we assume that a person grows up and learns sense at the same time. As you're getting older, you're getting wiser. It is not true. People must be taught. So the parliament must take this up. There should be various orientations. You see, when you come, even if you don't know anything, there are certain things you have to point out to you. You don't do this, you don't do that. This is how you do it. Yes, but we don't do that. We just put them there to go ahead, as if it's automatic that anybody can understand that and do the right thing. No, no, no. This is what is wrong with us. You see, we don't give training to even your own children. You don't talk to them anymore. They watch. If they are not watching, they don't learn anything. You see, but you have to educate them. You have to orient them to different thinking. This is not your own business. And you should give a time limit for talking. Don't come and showcase yourself. Otherwise, the church should put you out of order. We are not talking about you. For one person to hijack the whole thing. This is why it went so long, because everything takes so long. They can talk endlessly. No. Put time limit on it. You have the chance to talk 3 minutes, no more. That's it. And so if your time is up, a bell is ringing politely, so you have to end it there and go to somebody else. Otherwise, if you leave it to one person, he will tell her about her grandmother and everything else. What do we need to do that for? That is the issue here. So Parliament has a job to train its members to be up to speed to how they are supposed to handle the situations like that. We don't do that. Anybody can do it. Somebody is talking about school of trees, what is this? Don't even allow him to ridicule himself. You have to stop it right there. That is, you are out of order. And then you have to talk to him. There's so many things going on that we don't know. When they themselves, the ones who came up with the system, they take orientation seriously. Every year, there's something they're going to learn about. We don't. This is a new parliament. What did they learn before they started sitting? Nothing.
Okay.
They just came with their own ideas and started misbehaving.
Okay.
This is what is wrong with it.
Okay.
All right.
Dr. Richard Amakuba, thank you for deciding to join with us. We're grateful, and we know that when we call on you anytime, you will always be available if you are. We wish you the best of the day, Dr. Richard Amakuba.
Thank you, Roland.
Great man. But now we have to just try to wrap up with the last issue on hand, which is that, well, we know that the education minister or the ministry says there's a discussion ongoing, not that there's a replacement of allowances for teachers in training colleges, etc., and the trading, so to speak. But ultimately, we have to do a rethink. Our finance is not good. As a country, can we continue to be giving freebies by way of allowances, etc.?
Well, I think that is one of the disappointments that I had with the NDC. I agreed with them in the past when they scrapped it. And I was
You mean pre-2017?
Yes, I was with them. Because, you see, I went to university, Care University, and I took a loan to finance my education. You understand? The principles upon which this whole idea of allowances was introduced in 1960 is no more the same today.
So let's set the base. What was the principle then by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah?
Kwame Nkrumah felt that we needed more human resources. And to get more human resources, you needed more teachers. And you needed to bait them into the teaching field. The times have changed. Education now is expensive. Especially when we have private schools, that these teachers go to our public schools, take our allowances and go and teach in the private schools and charge us tens of and thousands of cedis. Some of them even finish school, then they were moved from the corridors of this country.
Because they are supposed to be bonded.
Absolutely. But who checks that? So they must pay for it. It must be I mean, they have set up a review committee or so to review our educational policy. That must be one of the things. Don't go and do politics with it.
I don't understand.
Scrap it.
Scrap all allowances.
Or scrap every
training colleges.
Scrap every allowance.
Nursing,
yes.
Teachers for agric, etc.
Introduce the loan scheme, just like because now some of them are doing 4-year degree programs. Is that what I say? What is the difference between that one and then those go taking facilities from the various universities? Scrap it. Let them go and take the loans, and let's stop pleasing the public. Things that will not help the progress of this country. Let's stop doing it. As we speak, there is this body, National Schools Inspectorate Divisional Authority. Can you imagine it has been closed down? These are matters that the educational sector must be concerned with. That the former boss, who has no clue, because the people there, the union is in disagreement. I don't even know why she's still at post. Your government too, you have not even been given a position. Why don't they sack that woman and put you there? My own friend George Nash, ever since communicator, is in the house. National Schools Inspectorate Authority. The woman is messing up. They have closed that place. What are you doing? These are the issues that must concern the educational minister.
So you're saying they should put their foot down?
And I'm very surprised that the educational minister issued a statement that he didn't say that this are, you must be firm. You must be firm.
Take the bull by the horn.
Forget about reality is the order of the day. Your finances cannot help. The economy is not growing at the rate and speed that will support what you are suggesting. Just tell the people that this is what will help us. And that is what leaders do. Not you come and then also go along the same way.
I don't understand. That we need a Donald Trump type.
That's why I love him. Hate him or leave him. He's doing what is right. He promised the people that when I come, I will slap taxes if you don't fix the border. He's doing it. Is he not achieving results? It is only in our part of the world that we say, mind you, one of the promises in the first 120 days of former President John Mahama, that called him elected, was that immediately he assumes the reins of government. He was going to set up a committee to look into why we use 25 billion cedis to collapse all the banks when we needed only 9 billion. Have you done so? He said he was going to set up an inquiry into the $58 million big hole that President Kuvado left us. Has he done so? Corruption was a major issue. But we are not hearing it. It's dying down naturally. And that is why you have a lot of these MPs who themselves are not clean in the parliament, bold enough and telling us their peace of mind. People must act and act decisively and think about the future of this country. So for me, it's a no-no. The Educational Review Committee, that is one of the areas, scrap all these allowances and stuff and give them a flexible loan arrangement. Let them go and take it and then finish with it so that we can have more people enrolling in our various schools so that it can free the Get Fund and other resources to embark on infrastructure development, and then Ghana will be the winner of the day. Mind you, there is a special initiative ministry. And what is the man saying? When I listened to him at the vetting committee, all that he was saying was that we will be exporting human resources. Is that not the case? So if you are going to export human resources, these people will go and take their loans, go through the training colleges. At the end of the day, you export them, and then you get some of the money. But if you are going to still put in place the allowance program, it means there will be a quota system. It means more and more people will not find their ways into the various training colleges. Forget about what the opposition will say. Some of these infantile politicking will fall flat along the way. We started our politics with people sharing kako. You know kako? In those days, that smelly meat.
The salted shark.
Absolutely. Yeah, you call it salted shark, eh?
Shark, I don't know the...
Some were even sharing kerosene.
Kako, I know kako very well.
We have moved from the kako politics, the kerosene politics. Now it is money. A time will come. Those that do not have the right attitude or attitude to politics, they will not survive it. Because money alone, can you imagine those that were in power, that were sharing freebies? Now that they are out of power, will they have the same amount of money to go and share? So now you must rely on your own strength. That is why you must always do politics that has public interest. And I don't believe that continuing to give allowances to teacher trainees will serve the interest of this country. After all, when we even promise that we are giving 5 months, 6 months, they are not giving. So what is the point?
So sometimes
a year or two.
So they should access the loans.
Access the loans.
Right. Did you go to training college yourself?
I did.
Okay.
I left college in 1999.
So the exigencies of the times and the
Yes.
finances of the country and the promises thereof that, well, it has to be scrapped, which you look at some sections of the public agreeing to, means that at least even before the Education Forum is convened, action should be taken. That's
Roland,
what Solo is arguing here.
This is a very dicey and
Why
very
is it
tricky.
dicey?
So you see,
Mohammed Abdulaziz, why is it dicey?
So, Roland, I say so because you'd want to look at it from different perspectives. Whilst it is proper that we look at this issue from the angle of budgetary constraints.
You promised to scrap it. John Dramani Mahama, alongside all of you in the campaign, you promised to scrap it. We're holding you to your own words. Why? Why is it difficult to scrap it?
Roland, what I'm saying is this, that whilst we all look at it from the issue of the budgetary constraints, which is very true, we are looking at a situation where school feeding is about 1 Ghana cedi for per people in this country. When you know that 1 Ghana cedi cannot even buy you an egg, that is what we are feeding our kids with in the basic schools. High debts with a buffer stock. We have deficits in terms of infrastructure. Textbooks are issues. Parents are even told to procure food for their wards to bring to school. Right. So there are a lot of budgetary constraints at the Ministry of Education. But we are also dealing with a political issue here. And look, President Mahama came into power through the term of the Ghanaian people. And so you must also have some respect for what you agreed with the Ghanaian people. And so I understand where the difficulty is coming from. Today we are talking about 70,000 teacher trainees who are paid about 400 Ghana cedis a month. 149 Ghana cedis is paid to them. Just imagine 149 Ghana cedis, 251 Ghana cedis is used for their feeding. And so we must begin to look at, even if you look at the 251 Ghana cedis per month, it gives you about 8 Ghana cedis per day. How can you feed an adult 3 square meals for 8 Ghana cedis a day? I mean, you must also be questioning the kind of food that they are fed with. Our policy position on this matter going into the 2016 election, if I get your attention to help me, going into the 2016 elections, we had made it very clear that, look, we wanted to replace the allowance with the students' loan scheme. It was not a situation where we said we were coming to cancel it. These are two different things. Cancelling allowances and replacing it with the loan scheme are two different things. Of course,
explain to me.
Well, when you say you are cancelling something, it means that there's no any substitute. In this case, we're promising to take away the allowances and then introduce a loan scheme that we thought that was going to be much better.
Allowances for training colleges, but going to be substituted.
That was the pledge we made in 2016, right?
We made the same pledge the last time.
No, if you read our manifesto, it is very, very clear. Our opponents in 2016 took advantage of it because the allowances was a very popular thing, and then they capitalized on it to make some political gains. Going into the 2020 elections and 2024, our position has changed a bit.
Yeah, you changed.
Go to page 130 of our manifesto, where you will see that we had promised to continue with the status quo of the allowances whilst transitioning onto a loan scheme. It is clearly stated on page 130 of our manifesto. Yes. And so we are not saying or doing anything different. In fact, what the minister said is that we would continue to pay the allowances, but into the future, we must be transitioning into the loan scheme. Everybody on this table has agreed that Ghana cannot continue to squeeze out some 350 million Ghana cedis every year just for teacher trainees. The circumstances that call for the allowances in those days has changed, and our current policy must reflect our budget. So we are saying that, look, we will continue to pay the allowances, but going into the future, we want to transition into the loan scheme. And that is clearly stated in our manifesto. I don't know why the Daily Graphic would have gone to do the headlines that allowances to go, as if a Minister for Education was calling for the cancellation of the allowances just today. Going into the future, it is a must that we cannot continue to pay the allowances for teacher trainees.
So when would the substitution be done? Mohammed Abdulaziz.
So that is what the minister says, that pending the National Education Forum, we will continue to pay the allowances. But once the recommendations come, we are of the view, we think that the National Education Forum would most likely recommend a position where we should replace the allowances with a loan scheme. And so the minister was actually telling you what his thoughts are. That might be slightly different from a government policy. Okay. Of course, he can only go with the government policy. So I think that let's take this one easy. Let's see what happens. The educational forum would come on very soon. The recommendations will come. But personally, and I think that was what the minister also communicated, that yes, we'll continue to pay the allowances, but we cannot continue to go on that tangent, and that in the near future, we should be replacing the allowances with the students' loan scheme.
Mohammed Abdulaziz, let me ask you. Let me ask you.
You have a teacher.
You have that teacher. Hold on with that teacher.
Go ahead.
Now add this. If you say in the near future, which timeline are you working with? What's the near future for you? I am not the minister. I am unable to give you a specific date. No, I'm not asking you the question in relation to the fact that you work at the ministry or you are the minister. I premise the first question I asked you, whether you have gone through a training college education. And you say you did.
I did.
And then the politics of the day, vis-a-vis the promises that had been made,
yes,
is that we're going to have allowances scrapped. And I'm using the word scrapped. And in replacement, a loan scheme. It is agreeable for all stakeholders who say, yes, for those who attended mainstream tertiary education, before we have colleges of education also being added to tertiary education, they should also be made to go through the process of acquisition of a loan to go through school.
Roland,
what's your time frame?
Again, let me state that I cannot give a time frame because
you become a diplomat.
I am not the minister. I don't have the mandate of the ministry to speak on some of these issues. But what I'm saying is this.
Give me your thoughts.
You have a teacher in a training college who is paid a monthly allowance.
How much are they paid?
140 Ghana cedis. And they used to.
Are you sure it's around there?
Oh, yes. Yes. The total amount,
for those watching.
The total amount is 400 Ghana cedis.
400.
251 Ghana cedis is used for their feeding. And so what they end up taking is just 149 Ghana cedis. And even that one is in arrears for several months.
So what's the incentive for them to be taking the allowances? Is it because it's piled up?
I don't really know. But you see, there are even students who went throughout the training 3 or 4 years without receiving a penny from from a government. Others have been in arrears for 27 months, 15 months, and what have you. So even the allowance itself, it is not being paid. So we're saying that, look, we have a teacher in a training college, right, running a degree program, who is paid the allowance all right. Then you have another person at Winneba also being trained as a teacher who is on a loan scheme. And so we must begin to fuse these two. We must begin to have a uniform policy for all tertiary students. To the extent that our teaching and nursing trainees see themselves as tertiary students, all the rules and regulations binding on tertiary students must equally be applied to them. So I think that, look, going into the future, let us stop this politics of allowances and let's do what is feasible. And what I think is feasible is that they should be paid their the student's loan. They can decide to do what they want to do with it. It is paid on semester basis. If you have 2 semesters, every semester you can apply for the amount that you think that would cater for your studies, including your feeding. And that one, when you are posted to go and teach, and you start to earn income, then you begin to pay back. I don't know why we are so much fixated on free things. We just want the allowance that because we won't pay back. And yet when you finish school, sometimes it takes them 5-4 years to be posted under the SWAL regime. People who completed nursing training colleges and teacher training colleges in 2020, 2017, 2018, some of them just got their postings. And so we must be looking at the long-term solutions and not the quick fixes. And so I think that, look, our teacher trainees and our nursing trainees must come on board. They must understand the need for us to...
Okay. So now he's calling for stakeholder engagement.
And that's why we are doing the National Education Forum.
I'm saying that the stakeholder engagement must only conclude that it has to be scrapped. There is business of...
So the terms of reference for that engagement should rather be how they can access that student loan.
Absolutely. The student
Not to go and ask their viewer about whether they should scrap or
not. First of all, you're unable to pay. It's just political gimmick. When the former Vice President Mahmoud Bawumia went to the Bono East region and made noise about the NPP government paying nursing training allowance.
Up to date. Yes.
Didn't you hear the young lady bastardize the entire piece by telling him in the face that she had not received a penny? That was very embarrassing. You can't pay, but you come and deceive the people. Hey, 2025 going, there is nothing like deception here. You can't do it, you can't do it. I have had an issue even with that their manifesto promise that given the opportunity, they will be paying school fees for tertiary students. Remember in I went to the university in 1999, 2000 year. It's one of the reasons, and I'm happy that Haruna Idusu is the Minister of Education now. He led us to the Mobrowa struggle, where students were beaten. And that was when we began singing Harisoya when Nimsa upon Chime. You remember? Harisoya when Nimsa upon Chime. That was because of the fact that the NDC administration wanted to take out the residential and academic facility user fee. We fought it and the government said it was not sustainable. So why did you allow us to ridicule Mr. Harisoya in those days, only for you in 20-something years' time come back and tell us that you are restoring? This year, nobody from 2025 going, deception, lie, it will not happen. We have to build this country. This is the only country that we have. People are going to the Mars. People are inventing deep seek. People are coming out with AI. We are in this country and colonial promises, only colonial promises, that is what we are giving to the people. It does not lead anybody anywhere. And the earlier we deal with it, the better, so that we develop this country to the best of our abilities.
So now, Peter Pateante, you've joined us. He will have the last word. Just summarize for us as quickly as possible. To remove or not to remove, to scrap or not to scrap, or to transition or not to transition. Peter Pateante. Okay, Peter Pateante, Executive Director.
Let me just have my brother here.
Peter Pateante.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please summarize this for us. I mean, as a stakeholder, we've talked about this constantly. Should we continue to have this as a line item on our budget? Or we should just take the outright decision? Because now it looks like, I don't know whether I can use the expression, the government is pussyfooting with this. They are dilly-dallying. No. You know, during the campaign, strong. Now, Mohammed Abdulaziz, for example, is now beating about the bush.
This is not fair.
Okay, you say it's not fair. So it's a question. I'm embedding it in the question. This beating about the bush that they are doing, do you think that they rather need to just go straight to the point and say we're scrapping and we're substituting that with a student loan scheme? And that should be the conversation at the Education Forum. Your take on it?
I think that we shouldn't be delaying on the decision to replace the student loan with the enhanced student allowance with the enhanced student loan. I think this is something that we need to do as early as possible. I agree that you need to find ways and means to phase it out. So I'm thinking that probably they will start with maybe the next academic year. The first years would be given the opportunity to assess the loan, and then the others will continue to take the allowance so they are able to phase the current system out. But my issue is that I don't think having this conversation at this time was tactical or strategic, because the minister, you have already put together a committee to plan for the National Education Forum. This is one of the issues that is very topical, and I was thinking that we could have let this lie and allow the stakeholders meet and then come to a consensus as to how to go forward with the allowance. I understand that he indicated that subject to the recommendations from the forum, but at the very moment that your position is made known, it becomes a little bit difficult for people to sway of what you intend to do. I know that the right thing to do is to take the allowance out. But I was thinking that since we're going to have a broader stakeholder engagement and discussion on general issues affecting education, this issue could have been left unsaid and then allow the forum to have a discussion on it and come to a conclusion. But my position and the position of IFES since 2015 has been that we don't need to pay allowances to these teachers. We need to allow them to access the loan. You don't need to feed them. You don't need to feed them. And we've even go a step further to say that you don't have to continue to allow them, let them wear uniforms and all those things that portray them as some enhanced secondary school students. I think that these are conversations that the colleges of education, Teachers Association should be, the teacher training should be thinking about. It doesn't serve their own interests as the way they are being treated now. And I think that if they are given the opportunity to assess the student loan, if we are able to ensure that this loan is paid 2 weeks to reopening so that they get money to pay for their accommodation, get money for their feeding, and get money to pay for their school fees and register, I think we will be doing them a lot of good than the current state of allowance, which is 400 Ghana cedis, that does not do them any good. So our position is clear. We don't need the allowance. We don't need to continue to pay the allowance. Okay. We need to phase it out and ensure that students in the college of education who are technically tertiary education students also access the student loan.
Well, thank you very much, Peter. And Peter Patiante, the Executive Director for the Institute for Education Studies, and the position they have held alongside Education Africa, or Africa Education Watch. That's Kofi Asari's, and Kofi Asari is part of those who are supposed to put this together as well. And I believe for many concerned Ghanaians as well, especially those who tend to look at our expenditure or appropriations and all that. So thank you very much, Solo.
Thank you.
Solomon Owusu. Always helping us with some great discussions each week. We're grateful for your support as well. And Mohammed Abdelaziz, former Member of Parliament for Myong, rightly so. Thank you as well. Now, let me just read a couple of messages in relation to the subjects we've discussed this morning. Mama War of the Asogli State. Good morning to you, Mama War. I wish you all the best. Mr. Solomon Owusu, always making sense and always on point. Now, we'll scroll further. I have Nelson Akotia who says, good call. This will streamline Ghana's financing regime in a proper perspective as far as education is concerned. An allowance which was reduced from 600 Ghana in 2017 to 149 and a huge debt to students should be scrapped. Good morning. BT Sly also says, consider the scenario. Mr. A is attending BATCO and Mr. B is attending UCC, both of the same age with the same grades. Both of them are reading BEd mathematics. Whilst Mr. A in a training college is paid allowance and fed daily, Mr. B is denied same privilege even though both of them are reading the same program for the same duration. Well, the one at UCC is receiving is a student loan, so you apply for it. I mean, that's the subject. This selective treatment is discriminatory and hence unconstitutional. BT Sly, Nadoli Kalio. I don't know. I want to ask BT Sly. I don't know whether he's a mainstream politician. If you're a mainstream politician, did you campaign with this? Or you went around and told them different? And I will see how that goes. So then also, Mr. Bachman. Bachman is a regular right here. And good morning to Mr. Bachman. He says, which is more important, receiving allowances without securing a job after school or taking student loans with a guaranteed job upon graduation? I used to support the allowance system, but upon reflection, I believe the loan system with job security, where money is saved to invest in other sectors, is a much better option, a broader option, you say. I have landlord Bolga D-Line. It's only a month old in that house, but their leader has apologized how many times already for his sins. Nothing surprises those who lead them anymore. I'm not also surprised, you say. And then Prince Henry Kufodia. Prince Henry, you didn't send me a message, rather birthday message. Okay, Prince Henry. Kofodia. Now, Moses says, ask him about the posture of the minority leader. I'm sure that will be to Solo. You people, you like firing students. So Solo is a posture of the minority leader. But now, Elliot Ogbe, good morning to you, Elliot, wherever you are. We call on the Speaker of Parliament to launch a thorough investigation into the unfortunate incident that occurred yesterday, where an MP from the minority side disgracefully referred to the Honorable Dr. Zaneto Rawlings as the daughter of a Medra. This remark is not only unparliamentary, but also deeply unacceptable, sets a bad example, and such conduct must be condemned in the strongest terms. The individual responsible must be identified and held accountable. Failure to take action will only erode mutual respect in the House, and they should not expect us to uphold any regard for that personality. And then Alhaji Hamza, you've sent a message. Sonny as well. Sonny Kwashi, wish you all the best. Simon Agiagnab also sent a message, and Isaac Hughes, Sam P. Yale as well. Sam P. Yale, I wish you all the best. Now we're taking a break, but before then, let's encourage you to always cash out. *439#, goes with the short code *439. You choose option 2. And for those who did the early morning stakes, we have them going to win 2,000 Ghana cedis. And for the first draw, 321, as we do the countdown, the number winning 2,000 Ghana cedis in the first draw is the number 321. The number 0542789 is the number. So we're going to call that winner, lucky winner, after the break. And within that period, so we'll bring you the latest sports headline. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. We're also grateful that you joined us.
Download OneXBet app and enjoy the variety of sport anytime, anywhere.